30 celebrities who ended up behind bars, and some who are still there. Fame can elevate a person to unimaginable heights, wealth, admiration, influence. But it can also magnify their downfall when things go wrong. For some celebrities, their stories didn't just include chart-topping hits or blockbuster movies. They included prison sentences. Behind the headlines and viral moments are real consequences, courtrooms, convictions, and years lost behind bars. Some of these figures remain incarcerated today, while others have walked free but will forever carry the weight of their past. Here are 30 celebrities whose lives took a dramatic and often shocking turn. 1. R. Kelly. Once one of the biggest names in R&B, R. Kelly is now serving decades in prison for racketeering and sex trafficking. His fall is one of the most dramatic in music history. 2. Suge Knight. The co-founder of Death Row Records helped shape hip-hop, but is now serving 28 years for voluntary manslaughter. 3. Danny Masterson. The former sitcom star received a 30 years to life sentence after being convicted of rape, shocking Hollywood and fans alike. 4. Harvey Weinstein. Once a Hollywood powerhouse, Weinstein's conviction for sexual assault became a defining moment for the #MeToo era. 5. Jared Fogle. A familiar face in advertising, Fogle's conviction for child exploitation crimes destroyed his public image permanently. 6. Tory Lanez. Sentenced in 2023 for shooting Megan Thee Stallion, his case divided fans and reshaped his career. 7. Young Thug. Facing major RICO charges, Young Thug's legal battle has been one of the most closely followed in modern hip-hop. 8. C. Murder. Serving a life sentence for murder, he continues to maintain his innocence years after his conviction. 9. Max B. Despite being incarcerated, Max B's influence continues to shape modern rap culture. 10. Tay-K. Known for releasing music while on the run, Tay-K is now serving a long prison sentence for murder. 11. Big Lurch. His case remains one of the most disturbing in hip-hop history, leading to a life sentence. 12. Vybz Kartel. Still a dominant figure in dancehall despite being incarcerated, Kartel's influence hasn't faded. 13. Joe Exotic. The Netflix star is serving time for murder for hire and wildlife-related crimes. 14. Jakar Tsarnaev. One of the most infamous figures in recent history, he is serving a life sentence. 15. Larry Hoover. Founder of the Gangster Disciples, Hoover remains incarcerated decades after his conviction. 16. Keith Raniere. The cult leader was sentenced to 120 years for sex trafficking and racketeering. 17. Allison Mack. Known for Smallville, she was involved in the Nexium scandal and served time for her role. 18. Bill Cosby. Though released after his conviction was overturned, his prison time and legal battles permanently altered his legacy. 19. Tekashi 6ix9ine. His time in prison and cooperation with authorities changed how the industry views him. 20. Bobby Shmurda. After serving several years, his release marked a comeback, but his story remains a warning. 21. Gucci Mane. Gucci Mane spent years in and out of prison before reinventing himself and rebuilding his career. 22. Lil Wayne. Served time for weapon charges, an experience he later reflected on in his music. 23. Kodak Black. Repeated legal issues led to prison time, though he has since returned to music. 24. Meek Mill. His incarceration sparked national debates about the justice system and probation laws. 25. DMX. The late rapper faced multiple prison stints throughout his life, often tied to legal and personal struggles. 26. Shine. Once a rising star, Shine served nearly a decade before reinventing himself in politics. 27. Remy Ma. Served 6 years in prison before making a strong comeback in music. 28. Ja Rule. Served time for tax evasion and weapons charges during the peak of his career. 29. Lauryn Hill. Faced legal consequences for tax-related issues, impacting her career trajectory. 30. Martha Stewart. Her prison sentence for insider trading shocked many, but she later rebuilt her empire. Fame, power, and consequences. What makes these stories so compelling isn't just the crimes, it's the contrast. These were people who had everything: money, fame, influence. Yet, in many cases, it wasn't enough to keep them out of prison. Some are still behind bars, serving long sentences with uncertain futures. Others have been released, trying to rebuild careers in a world that hasn't forgotten. And a few managed to transform their lives completely after hitting rock bottom. The bigger lesson. The truth is simple: fame doesn't erase accountability. In fact, it often amplifies the fall. Every mistake becomes public. Every court case becomes a headline. Every sentence becomes a global story. For viewers and fans, these stories are more than entertainment, they're cautionary tales. They show how quickly success can vanish, and how decisions made in moments can define entire lives. Final thoughts. In a world obsessed with celebrity culture, it's easy to focus only on the highs, the awards, the luxury, the spotlight. But these stories remind us of the other side. The silence of a prison cell, the weight of consequences, and the reality that no one is above the law. Because at the end of the day, fame may open doors, but it can't always keep them from closing.